We've come to a home. They have a duct system. They have forced hot air, either for heating or cooling. And we need to make sure that the system is not leaking too much to the outside and costing them money or wasting energy. And also to make sure that the return is not leaking in an unconditioned area or a boiler room and causing either hot or cold air to get mixed in with the air that's blowing around the house and it messes with the thermostat. Or at worst case, it's running through a boiler room, it's backdrafting the systems, causing carbon monoxide to get into the air handler and blown through the house and getting people sick from carbon monoxide poisoning. When you're making that first kind of call to confirm that you're coming out to do an audit, you really should ask if they've got either radiators or ducts. Do they have something that blows air into the home? Most people don't know if they have a furnace or a boiler, but they do know if they have radiators, which would indicate that they've got a boiler. Or if they have ductwork, which indicates that they've got ductwork, which is going to necessitate a duct blaster test. We want to do a test on the ductwork system, figure out how much leakage there is, total leakage, leakage to the outside, know the leakage to the inside, do our work, seal up the system, come back, do a post-test, and then show the differences. We're going to set up the duct blaster, so we can do two tests. One is a total leakage test, and one is a leakage to the outside test. Great. We're going to set it up to the return here in the hallway. You can set it up on the air handler itself, but the air handler here is in the attic in a very small crawl space, so we're going to choose to do it here. One prep thing we have to do is take out the air filter, which has already been done. So what we're going to do is just set it up here. This right here is the tubing, or ductwork I should say, that we're going to use to connect the duct blaster to the return. Get that like that. This thing slides over it like that. Okay, see how that fits over that like that? Nice and easy. All right, before we do that though, we got to tape this up there. So what I usually do is I leave the tubing out so I don't have to deal with it so much, right? And I'm just going to slide that out, right? I'm going to tape that up there.
And we're looking for an air seal.
Yeah, so what we're going to do...
The air that's transferring through that vent is coming through the tubing.
Exactly.
So what we're going to do is use this tape to tape this up, and then we're going to use this tape to tape off all the supply registers as well. And so then we take this, and we attach this up here, slide it all the way up, and pull this tight. Like that. So don't have this thing squirreling around, you know, because then it's going to...
Every angle you have is going to restrict airflow.
Exactly. We have to set up the manometer as well. And one thing that is a problem right now, which is a very common mistake, which I'm glad we made, is when you set this thing up, you want to have this side blowing into there. Exactly. Because one of the things we might have to do is we might need to add a ring if the system is too tight and we can't get enough flow. So now what we're going to do is set up the manometer. We've got one tube going to the fan, and we're going to have one tube running to supply ductwork. So we use device, get it to Duct Blaster B, and we start with the open configuration. All right. In terms of the mode, we want pascals and CFM at 25. This is the one that's hooked up to the duct blaster, and we're going to put it right here on the input. And it's going to read the CFMs off the fan. And this hose that we're going to run to one of the supply ducts, we're going to get the pressure in the ductwork with reference to the house, okay? Because the idea is we're going to pressurize the ductwork to 25 pascals. So it should be, the ductwork should be 25 pascals higher than the house pressure. Now, we've got this part set up. Now what we have to do is run around and tape off all the supplies.
All right.
OSHA safety class. Yeah. Nice and easy. Fits right over it. Sometimes you have supplies that are in the ceiling. Sometimes you have them like this, built into the wall with no grill on them, which isn't really ideal. But you have to look around for them. You can't just rely on, oh, it's, you know, they're all in the ceiling, because there might be some in the wall, there might be some in the floor. We have taped off all the supplies. We have set up our manometer, right? Turned it on, set it to the device of Duct Blaster B, open configuration, pascals on the left, CFM 25 on the right. We've got our hose for the fan running to the right side of the manometer to read our CFMs, and we have our hose on the left side of the manometer reading pascals running to a supply. So all we need to do is take this long hose, walk it in here, take it to one of the supplies, and run it into the supply. So you just poke it right through one of the holes. Now sometimes this gets a little dicey and they might look like it's going to fall. So if you need to kind of tape it up there or do something a little extra, make sure it holds.
Nice. Okay.
Not a bad idea.
All right.
So now all we need to do is crank this up, and we're going to bring it till we get 25 pascals of pressure on our manometer. All right. See how this side is flashing at us?
Yeah.
That means that we need to add a ring. There's not enough air going across the motor right here, or the sensor, to pick up a number. So turn.
So does that mean the house is tight, or?
Well, not the house, the ductwork.
The ductwork.
Yeah, so that's a good sign that the ductwork is tight. So turn that down, off, right? We're going to change the configuration here. So right here at open, if we hit the config button once, it goes to A1. There should be a ring here that says 1, exactly. And there should be some other thick rubber, right?
Because you don't care if the system is leaking inside the house.
Right.
Because if you're running your air conditioner or your heater, that's just air escaping into the house.
Right. The only reason that we would care about that is, I mean, you always care. But if the homeowner was saying, listen, this duct in this room, there's no heat coming out of it, yeah, you can shut that off. No heat coming out of it at all. If that were the case, then we would go check out that particular room and figure out why that's not working, find the break in the ductwork. But if we weren't getting complaints like that, or if it weren't seriously out of balance, the supply and the return, then we're not required by most programs to deal with that,
Right.
to take care of leakages to the inside, only to the outside.
Because it's conditioned air being blown into the conditioned space.
Right.
What we're concerned about is conditioned air being blown into unconditioned space, like attics or the outside of the house.
Right.